Dear students, welcome back to computer science class. So in the last two sessions we have learned how to define the class with a programming example, and the last video we have learned about access specifier. In this particular session we are going to learn how you are going to define a member functions and what are the different methods to define those member functions, how you are going to call those member function inside the class, and how you are going to call the member function outside the class. As I have told in the last class itself, without a data member and the member function it is not possible to declare the class, right? Now we know the definition of member function. What exactly the meaning of member function? A member function means set of operations or operations will be performed using data member of the class. That means the variable what you have declared inside the private, those variable will be called as data member. With the support of those data member, we are going to perform some task. When you are able to do a task within a one function, that particular body is said to be member function, and that same member function we are defining inside the class and outside the class. There are two different ways we are going to define the member function. So that particular thing we are going to learn in this particular session, and this question will be asked for 5 marks. So the name called member function. Name called member function. So the definition is set of operation. Set of operation will be performed. Set of operation will be performed on the object or data member of the class called as member function. I will tell with the programming example. In the last class we have defined the keyword called as class, and this is immediately I have opened the flower bracket, right? Then I have called the access specifier, that is private, followed by some variables. So these things only called as data member. These things only called as data member when you are able to do a task. When you are able to do a task or an operation using these three things or any variable or any object you declared inside the class, when you are able to do a task, so that process is said to be member function. How we have called the member function? Inside the access specifier, that is public. As I have told, inside the private that property will not be accessed. So if you want to access the property of the member function outside the class or by any other class, then you are supposed to define that member function inside the public only. I have declared void read, right? So some operation I have performed here. This complete body is said to be member function. This complete body is said to be member function. Here we are learning, in this particular session we are going to know that how you are going to call this member function within the class, as we have done in the last example, that process itself is inside. When you call this particular body outside the class, andre class block aadmele, when you call that particular body outside the class, that process is said to be outside the class definition. There are two different methods here we are going to learn. One is inside, another one is outside. First we will see inside the class definition. The first member function way is inside the class definition. There are two ways we are going to define the member function. One is inside the class definition, another one is outside the class definition. First we will see inside the class definition. Okay. The definition, the process of defining a member function Very important word. Within the class. Within the class itself. Within the class itself called as inside the class definition. So whatever the body you are defining, that if you define within the class, then that particular member function is called as inside the class definition. Okay, we'll see the programming example. The same program, class CS, open the flower bracket. The what variable or a data member you have declared, the same data member you take here. Int a, comma b, comma c. You may ask, sir, here you have not used the access specifier. In the last class itself, clearly I have mentioned, if you are not specified any access specifiers with the data member, then by default compiler will be considered as a private data member. Okay. Next, inside the public, I will call one member function void read. Open the flower bracket. When you declare any variable or a data member, you have to tell to the compiler why you have declared. I want to give some value for A and B. Because to do some task, some value is supposed to be there. So for that reason, I want to enter some value for A and B. Then you are supposed to take the variable or data member to whom you are giving the value. I want to give the value for A and B. As you know, how many variables, those many extraction symbol. Then immediately I will write the logic. C equals to A plus B. Because I want to do some addition of two numbers. First you understand the concept, so that we will write the different programs with the different logic. Okay, C equals to A plus B. Then immediately I will print the value of C. Then close the function block. Then close the class block. Close the function block, close the class block. See, this is the one member function. This is the member function. This is the data member. This is member function. This is data member. Again, as you know, you can have n number of member functions inside the class or outside the class in a single program. Remember, here I have just called one member function. What's the definition of inside the class definition? A process of defining a member function, complete a body. Member function within the class block itself. See, class block opened here, closed here. Whatever the body you are defining, this kind of body within the class, that all the body is called as inside the class definition. Now how you are going to execute this particular body? Again, you have to create what? A main block. So continuation here, void main. Open the flower bracket. To execute this particular body, you need to create the reference object as usual. Class name, object name. CS, I will write here BH. Remember, dear students, the reference object name and the class name and the data member and the function name should not be same. That should be different, then only compiler will understand in a different way to create the memory block to execute this particular task. Each and every function name, class name, data member name, object name supposed to be different. Now how you are executing or accessing this member function? Using dot operator. Where you are specifying the dot operator? Between reference object followed by function name. Read, then get ch, close the main block, this program will be get executed. This is the inside class definition. So whatever the class example you have written in the first session or first video, that entire program refer as inside the class definition. Hope all of you understood this concept. Inside the class definition, process of defining a member function within the class block itself, that is called inside the class definition. And the same thing you are writing here, one program class CS followed by the data member, then the member function, close the block, void main, and execute the program. Please have a look on this particular program. The next, we will see about outside the class definition. So that is very, very important. Outside the class definition. Next, we will learn about outside the class definition. The way you have defined the member function inside the class member function, in the same manner you are supposed to write outside the class member function too. Okay, we'll see the definition. Outside the class definition. There you have defined process of defining a member function within the class. Here, process of defining a member function outside the class block, called as outside the class definition. But how you are calling? This is first point. Second point, using scope resolution operator. We are going to call a member function outside the outside the class, and this is the scope resolution operator. Okay, the syntax of outside the class definition is return type, class name, scope resolution operator, function name. Whenever you are using the function, you are supposed to be used parenthesis. When you are opening the body of any function, then flower brackets, then body of the function, semicolon, close the function block. This is the syntax of defining a member function outside the class. Process of defining member function outside the class, and how you are calling that member function? Using scope resolution operator. And one more point to remember, dear students, that's very important. Before calling a member function outside the class, you are supposed to, before calling a member function outside the class, you are supposed to declare a function name inside the class first. Mean, before calling this body outside the class block, the name of the function you are supposed to be declared inside the class. Then only we are able to call a function outside the class. Now we will see the same program what we have written for inside the class definition. Same thing we will write. Class CS. How many variable or data member I have declared? 3. Int a, b, c. Right? Immediately inside the function, we have called function name called as read. Here also I will write read only. Okay? But this process indicate what is that? Outside the class definition. So no need to define this kind of a body here, because you are calling the same body outside the class block. So no need to write the body, just you need to declare the function name, that's it. Because this body indicate you are calling outside, this definition indicate you are calling the member function outside the class. So for that reason, no need to call the function inside the class, you are supposed to call outside the class. Before calling, you are supposed to declare the name of the function inside the class, and I have declared that function name called as read. Then immediately I will close the class block. Then the syntax we have seen, right? There is a first return type. I will write, I don't want to write anything, void. Okay, what is the name of class? CS. What is the name of function? Read. Return type is void, the class name is CS, scope resolution operator as usual I just called, and the name of the function is read. Remaining thing is same. Cout, enter the value of AB, C in AB, C equals to A plus B, Cout, the value of C stored in the C, just see I have defined, and they close the member function. This is complete a member function. Class block with the data member, with the name of the function declaration. The same function I have called outside the class block. This process itself is called as outside the class definition. So one more time I will remind you, the outside the class definition means process of defining a member function outside the class. Just I have defined outside the class only. Okay, but how you are calling? Using the scope resolution operator, what I have defined here, this is the scope resolution operator, 4 dots, scope resolution operator. Before calling the scope resolution operator or function outside the class, you are supposed to declare the name of the function inside the class first, then only we are able to call outside the class. Now this is outside the class declaration, but still you are not executed. For execution, what you are supposed to do? For execution, what you are supposed to do? Again you need to call void main, open the flower bracket, then create the reference object. How you are creating? CS, because the name of the class, the reference object BH. Okay, then BH dot, what's the name of function? Read. Just you write read, get CH, close. Only the difference is that the same function you have defined there inside, here you are just defining outside. The same program, two different manner. Now you may ask, can we write both inside and outside the class definition in a single program itself, so that it saves the time for the user, means the programmer, so that they can implement both the function or both the member function in one program itself. That example also we will see with the same programming method itself. Okay, we'll start. Both inside the class definition as well as outside the class definition you are defining in a single program. Same program with a different property. Class CS, call the variable again or a data member state int a comma b comma c. I will write public colon, I will take void read. Here I will write cout, enter the value of a comma b, c in ab. Close this. Then the remaining part I will call outside. So but before calling that function outside, you are supposed to write void logic. Okay, and one more function I will call void print, and close the class block. So how many functions I have defined? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. One is with the body, another 2 without the body, but somewhere we are supposed to call. This program indicate inside the class definition and outside the class definition. Here I am just implementing both the concept in a single program. So here I have just defined, it's a process of calling the function inside the class or within the class. One thing I have done, remaining 2 things I just wanted to call as a outside the class definition. I will call. Again, hope you all of you remember the syntax to call the function outside the class. What is that? Return type. Return type I will take void. Class name is CS and function name is logic. I will take logic. You may ask, sir, why you didn't take the read? Because already I have defined here, so no need to take one more time. So these 2 are didn't define, have not defined, so I am calling here. Open the flower bracket. Here I will write the logic C equals to A plus B. Then I will close this function. One more function is pending. Again, same manner I will write void. Name of the class is CS. And the function name is print. Here I will take C out, C, close the function. So in the symbol, in the single program itself, in a simple manner I have defined both the different method. One is inside, another 2 is outside. Process of defining function within the class, that is called as inside. Process of calling the function outside the called is called as outside the member function. Now if you want to execute these functions, then you are supposed to call a main block. As we know, we'll call main block void main. Before calling, you are supposed to create the reference object. Same thing we have to create CS BH. So in this program, how many member functions? 3. The name is, one is read, second one is logic, third one is print. All the functions you are supposed to be called like this: read, logic, print, get ch, close the thing. This is the member function concept with the 2 different method. One is inside the class, another one is outside the class in a single program. This is outside the class definition. This is outside the class definition. These 2 are outside the class, and this one is inside the class. In a single program, we have learned 2 different things. One is inside the class definition, another one is outside the class definition. This is very important for 5 marks for your final exam. So inside the class definition, process of defining a member function inside the class block called as inside the class definition, and process of defining a function outside the class block called as outside the class definition. So before calling this function outside the class, you are supposed to call the name of the functions. There I have defined print and the read, right? The name of the function supposed to be called inside the class first. Logic and the print I have called, then only I am able to call the function outside the class block. And before calling, you need to declare the name of the function inside, and you are supposed to take help of scope resolution operator. Okay. And one more note you are supposed to remember. What is that? In a single program, again I am revising this, again I am reminding also. Many times I have told, but one more time I am telling just to remember. This is very important. In a single program, you can have n number of functions. You can have n number of functions, as well as you can have n number of reference object. How many reference objects you declare? Those many reference objects are individually related with each and every member functions in your class. How many reference objects you declare? Each and every member functions will be linked with those many reference objects. Okay. Here I have defined CS BH. So BH.read, BH.logic, BH.print. If you define CS BH, comma BH1. So how many reference objects? 2. One is BH, another one is BH1. Have you defined in the same manner BH1 also linked with all the member functions. BH1.read, BH1.logic, BH1.print. Hope so all of you understood. Please go through with this particular session so that you will understand the concept of member function. This is very important for 5 marks. Thank you.